After the excitement of our trip to Hokkaido, it seems strange to be right back to the usual daily routine so soon. Indeed, it feels like a normal day, and the same as any other. Well, that's what I'd like to think anyway. To tell the truth, the atmosphere of the entire class, no, the entire school has changed. While an undercurrent of subdued trepidation and had previously pervaded the class, now that the exams are in sight, it's boiled over into frantic studying rarely seen otherwise. One day until exams start. It's horrific, really, that instead of studying, we went and wasted our time up north. We were such model students, too. Glancing around the class, even the bubbly, ever-energetic Misha seems oddly deflated. She sits at her desk, nervously chewing a pen while Muto lectures from the front of the class. Wait, on closer inspection, I do believe she's eating it. Tearing my eyes from the sorry spectacle, I turn my attention elsewhere. Hanako sits frantically, scribbling in her notebook, her face mere inches away from the page, seemingly trying to record every word that leaves Muto's mouth. Shizune, cool as a cucumber. She sits diligently taking notes with her attention wholly focused on the front of the class. Truth be told, it's what I should be doing as well, if not for the fact that I feel like I have a pretty good handle on what's being covered already. I wonder how Lily's doing. While she does have a good head on her, she has
Don't go there.
I'm sorry.
No.
You could have just let it go. You could have just let it go. You could have just let it go. She has plenty on her plate, unlike me. Her class representative duties, taking care of Hanako, her other social contacts, her extra English classes, or studies. That girl really does take in a lot.
You said in! You said in!
I don't know.
Perv!
No!
Oh, you're in it now, buddy.
Ah, the lunchtime bell brings a sigh of relief from the entire class. Muto being no exception. I get the feeling he much prefers the more laid-back atmosphere of his normal classes to the frantic pace of exam preparations we're subjected to right now.
Ichan! Help me!
I lower my eyelids to half-mast, making clear my intentions of doing quite the opposite.
Help me, help me, help me!
Not going well?
Hichan's gonna be fine, but I think I might die. Am I gonna die, Hichan? Will you let me die from all this work?
Maudlin. Given that she's neither the brightest student in the class nor the most diligent, it isn't a great surprise that she's finding it hard to cope with the workload. Sorry, Misha, but I've got my own work to do. I thought you and Shizune would be studying together over the long weekend, anyway.
Studying's too boring to waste a holiday on, Hichan. Shopping together was much more fun, wasn't it, Shichan?
It's only now that I realize Shizune's been looking over to us, and that Misha's arms, having been moving likely all this time. I must be really zoned out not to have noticed. What is it with girls and shopping, anyway? Even Lily and Aniko have dragged me out with them a couple of times.
But you went anyway? It's so rare to see a guy that likes going shopping.
Well, my role would probably be best described as pack mule. I can't say I share your enthusiasm about the experience. Back to exams. You studied after you got back from the days off, didn't you, Shizune?
Of course, Hichan. It's only sensible to study in the days before. Oh.
Misha makes a sound vaguely similar to a dying cow as she realizes her folly and unceremoniously flops onto her desk, betrayed even by her best friend. Judging from Shizune's quite frustrated look at Misha, she probably told her to study, as she did. Don't worry, you can still gain some grades if you start studying now. Maybe. Misha doesn't seem overly amused. It seems the bubbly balloon of everlasting cheerfulness has been cruelly popped. Shizune's signing goes unnoticed by the moping Misha, earning her a quick poke in the shoulder. It It takes barely a moment for Misha to get back into form.
Oh, so what did you do over the weekend, Hee-chan?
Oh, well, you know, I mean, just took a trip up north with Lily and Hanako. It was pretty nice.
Oh, I lost my V card too.
Twice. Wait, can you lose it
What?
twice?
No. What?
This isn't Emmy. This isn't.
Yeah, I lost it for the second time. But you wouldn't know about the first time. Because I went back in time. And then, yeah.
I can just imagine him, like, every time he looks at Emmy, be like, I know what you look like naked. She's like, what?
I don't even know you! Go away, you weirdo.
But I mean, you could. And then she gives you those, like, really creepy, like,
Yeah.
sexy eyes.
And she's like, get the fuck out.
Oh, I see both of them narrowing their eyes at me, their minds surely in the gutter. The fact that their suspicions are founded makes the situation all the more awkward. We just studied and went sightseeing. There's nothing more to it. After such a flagrant lie, I realize that it may not have been the best step, considering Shizune's connection and her total lack of restraint when it comes to questioning someone she suspects of telling untruths. I really have no idea how she's going to take it, but she'll find out eventually anyway. If it isn't as if it's really her business whom I date, in any case. And yes, Lily and I are going out now. While Misha receives the news with an enthusiastic smile, Shizune gives a look of mild surprise, somewhat masked by her cool demeanor. I wish that was me.
Aww.
Whoever you date is your business. I hope you two go well together.
Misha gives a look that says this is the most quarter I could possibly receive on the matter. That's all I wanted, really. After she says this, though, Shizune begins to size something else, then stops herself and shakes her head at Misha to prevent her from translating. Normally, I'd think this strange enough, but the awkwardly casual wave Shizune gives before walking off with Misha in tow adds to my confusion. Shizune's hardly the kind of person to pull a punch or communicate without forethought. I shrug my shoulders at the duo's odd behavior and look towards Hanako's desk, but see that her chair is empty. She was definitely here before, so I guess she just didn't feel like waiting. I'll go grab some food alone then. Walking down the hallway to the unused room that's become a second home to three students in particular, I mournfully look down at the plastic-wrapped salad roll and juice box in my hand. The cafeteria's food really is unappetizing. Maybe I'll consider this my penance for my recent indiscretions. Opening the door, I notice one less quiet figure than I'd expect. It's strange. Despite having known Lily for months, I can't help thinking back to the very first time I opened the door and saw her silently sitting in the sunlight. Just as she did then, she slowly opens her eyes, unmoving as they are, and calmly addresses me.
Good morning, Hisao.
It's afternoon, I think. Has Hanako been around? She skittered out of class without me even noticing. Lily cradles her cheek thoughtfully as I take a seat, my bag taking its place against the closest leg of the table, and my unsatisfying meal neatly set out in front of me.
She did appear, for a time. She said she had to study for the upcoming exams and left for the library.
We find ourselves not entirely believing her words. Well, at least her intentions are in the right place.
She is sweet, but she needn't go this far to let us have our space. I might talk to her about it sometime.
Probably for the best. For a while we quietly eat our meals, Lily elegantly nibbling on her sandwiches and sipping her tea as I eat what tastes like a garden sandwich in dry dough. The atmosphere feels slightly strained, neither of us knowing quite what to say to each other now that our small talk has dried up. Eventually we both finish our food, with no conversation forthcoming for quite some time. Eventually, though, Lily's soft voice breaks the silence.
A lot happened back there, didn't it?
Again, silence. We both, with both our minds on the same topic, though. I think I have my feeling on that sorted out. I know everything happened in kind of a hurry, but I don't regret anything that happened in Hokkaido. Not one thing.
Hisao?
Slightly tense, I take her hands in mine, half to feel her, half to settle my own nerves. I stand by my words back there, Lily. I love you, and I won't leave you. I only wish for you to think the same. She silently reflects for a long time, which feels like an eternity. Her reverie comes to an end as she takes one hand from mine, placing it over them as she leans her body forward and stands out of her chair. After a moment's hesitation, her face slightly pensive, her lips meet mine for a brief moment. My mind feels as if it briefly stopped at that moment, barely registering Lily sitting back in her chair and smiling back at me with ever so slightly reddened cheeks.
Hearing that makes me very happy, Hisao. I would be glad to stay with you.
Maybe it would be good to slow things down a bit, compared to before, I mean. We still have school after all, and our exams. She gives a mischievous giggle, which proves to be contagious.
That might be a good idea indeed. Do you think you'll fare well in your exams? It's only one day until they arrive, as you say.
I probably should have studied more, but I think I've got a good enough head to manage. That said, I had to bat off Mishin Shizune. Is your class as worried about the exams as mine? She lets out an exasperated sigh, but all but confirming it. I'm thankful for the atmosphere becoming a bit lighter.
I think so. I've already been asked to help by 2 of my classmates, and there'll no doubt be more.
Think of it as your first training in being a teacher. Maybe.
That's probably a good way to think of it. On that note, how are you faring in your English studies? I remember it was far from your strongest subject, and the few sentences you memorized to speak to my mother aren't likely to help.
I got a 49 instead of a 46. Yeah! Damn, right on the mark. You got me. If you don't mind, would you be able to possibly help me in that regard? Please?
It would be my pleasure to help you, Hisao, but in exchange...
She lowers her eyebrows at me, her coquettish?
Coquettish.
Coquettish?
Yeah.
Her coquettish nature attentively coming to the fore. No problem at all. You'd probably be better off with some help in your studies, though. She beams a smile at me, one of girlish victory that nearly makes me blush. I get the feeling she's aware of how to use her face to twist my judgment, so I should probably be more on guard. Here and now, though, a study group seems like an expedient way for both of us to shore up our more lacking skills. The school bell rings out, reminding us that time isn't going to stand still. Huh, lunchtime's over already. It sure is easy to lose track of time here.
This room's so far from the other clubs and activities, not much sound can reach us. That's probably most of the reason why.
A place far from all the others, alone with just one person whom she loves. As Lily stands and collects her bag and cane, my thoughts are cast back to the time we spent in Hokkaido.
Before I go, Akira and I are having a homecoming party in my room tomorrow. Will you be able to come?
And back again. My schedule is free, so I should be able to make enough room in my study time to make it.
Good to hear, Hisao.
For what it's worth, I'm glad you're back from Scotland. Once exams are over, we should have some more time to ourselves.
Holidays start soon after, too.
We can start the holidays with Tenabata. Okay. Then, just as we promised at the school festival. Oh, that's the food that they ate at the... Alright, gotcha. She brings her hand to her cheek and laughs slightly nervously, recalling the events as I silently thank myself for managing to remember. It seems odd to see her react in such a way, though it's not like I never saw her embarrassed before.
I'd better be going. Farewell, Hisao.
Bye. Whether it's out of habit or just a stubborn desire for one small fragment of normality, I hold my hand up in farewell just as I always do. At least I'm consciously aware that I'm doing it now. I think I'm beginning to see a bigger picture than I ever have before. Not only with Lily, but also my life ahead. The chains of my past are finally breaking.
Yay!
Walking up the now slightly more familiar corridor of the girls' dormitories, I can hear the faint sound of laughter coming from up ahead. It doesn't take long to identify the source as Lily's room, though the deep timbre...
It's pronounced timbre, actually.
Timbre?
Yeah, it's a
Wow.
musical thing. Yeah.
Okay. The deep timbre of the female voice unmistakably belongs not to her, but to her sister. I wrap my knuckles on the door with the usual 3 light taps, my hand barely retreating as the door swings open.
Hey, Hisao.
Hey, hello, Lily. Hanako. Hanako looks up tentatively, her hands buried in her oversized pink nightgown. From her side, Lily turns sideways towards the direction of my voice and smiles. It would be a flagrant lie to say I dislike the sight of her in those pajamas. I catch Akira giving me a sidelong look with a knowing grin, to which I reply with a sharp glare. She takes the hint, shrugs, and walks back to the low table in the center of the room. As I go join her, Lily gives me a nod of greeting and starts pouring me a cup of tea. It's nice to see you again, Hanako. You've been getting around recently. Oh, yeah, okay. Lily wears a look of concentration as the light brown liquid, carefully measured by her finger as always, flows from the teapot into the cup.
It seems Hanako has taken up helping one of the people in your class with the newspaper club. Naomi, I think?
Hanako gives an affirmative nod. Even after spending about 2 months in the class, I still have trouble remembering the names of those students I rarely talk with. It takes me a few mental contortions to connect the name with the face.
Sorry.
And I knew
That was a mental contortion right there.
I knew that if I didn't slow it down, I would have added something in there. And
Contortionations. It's all good. All good. It was appropriate.
But I eventually remember the girl that sits beside Hanako at the back of the class. Oh, there you go. Naomi Inoue, a fairly average-looking girl, except for her bleach blonde hair. Given her upbeat and straightforward personality, Naomi may have seen an opening to poach Hanako for her club when she inquired about joining one. Either way, it's nice to see Hanako broadening her horizons. When I first met her, the idea of her joining club with anyone but Lily would have seemed utterly laughable. That explains how busy you've been. Are you enjoying it?
It's really interesting.
As always, Hanako's far from being talkative. Some things never change, and it seems that Hanako's personality is one of them. She'll likely always be one to shy away from being overly social. Warned by the sound of cockery against the table as Lily gently places my drink in front of me, I thank her and take a long sip. Hanako and Lily are attending to their own, and Akira is quaffing a mug of strong-smelling black coffee.
You're a lucky bastard, Hisao.
Huh? I can't help grimacing at her teasing smile, still visible around the edges of a mug pressed to her lips.
Seeing my sister in her pajamas, there's a lot of men out there who'd like to be where you are.
I've seen a lot more than that of her. Not that I admit it.
Akira! I am just teasing.
She leans over to me as much as she can, whispering with a sly grin written on her face.
And Hanako too, you perv.
Look at her face!
The shadows. Hey, it was her idea. We both look over to her, her face turned to the ground and her hands fidgeting in the lap of her nightgown.
If it's Hisao, I don't mind.
This could be bad. I know Hanako's altogether too innocent to bother reading too much into such a thing, but the expression Akira directs at me is positively stormy.
Akira, please.
It seems Lily can sense Akira's sudden change in aura just as well as I, even without seeing it for herself.
I just keep looking at her face. Like, oh god!
Akira slowly looks away from me, like an attack dog leashed by its owner in the nick of time. I breathe a sigh of relief. I can't think of a more appropriate time to try and change topics than around now. If you don't mind me asking, Akira, what do you do for a living? I've never seen you out of that suit.
Thinking about what to do with yourself after school's over, eh? I'm a lawyer. For the most part, I work in the legal department of the Japanese branch of a family's company. The most boring possible answer, I suppose. Law's a pretty dry topic to most people.
Kinda.
Oh, you're not supposed to agree.
Lily gives an amused giggle while holding her teacup and saucer, Hanako quickly joining her. This friendly atmosphere between everyone is something I'd missed while Lily and Akira were on their trip. While the dealings I had with Hanako didn't help, I think just not having Lily around changed the mood.
It's nice to be back. I missed you, Hisao. And you too, Hanako.
Same goes for the both of us. I'm guessing your classmates were happy to see you back.
In a manner of speaking, yes.
I got it. Akira's amused snort shows she's well aware of Lily's attitude towards such figures of speech. I imagine she'd have to be, given how long they've been together.
Did you have fun in Scotland?
For a moment, I wonder why she's asking. It having been quite a while since they came back, but then I remember everything that happened. We simply not had the time to look back. What with the exams and our Hokkaido trip. Lily's face goes distant for a moment, and the fact that Akira's first reaction is to look over to her sister doesn't escape me. Nonetheless, she quickly collects herself.
It was nice. We hadn't met our family in such a long time, so it was a wonderful reunion.
Yeah, I guess that's right. The house being each side was the best part, though.
From her dismissive tone, I get the feeling Akira doesn't like their family as much as Lily does.
You only like that because you finally had time to play around.
Just because I'm the better swimmer.
I don't take after the athletic side of the family, that's all.
Well, you can take out in the fact that you got the height genes at least. And the bust genes.
That's not really the right kind of thing to say around others.
Though Lily pretends to scold Akira, she does so with an unmistakable, slightly cheeky grin on her face. I doubt Akira really minds that, judging from her nonchalant expression. While I don't either, Hanako's looking down and blushing furiously beside me. The sisters' antics aside, their parents really do lead a bourgeois lifestyle.
Bourgeois!
Bourgeois?
Bourgeois, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. It seems utterly divorced from the life that Lily and Akira have lived until now. I suppose practicality must have made the decision for them. To have come from such a wealthy and well-connected lineage only adds to the almost noble air Lily seems to have, though. It's a small wonder none of it seems to have rubbed off onto Akira. There you go. Just driving the point home. They really are as little alike as siblings could be. Their only similarity seems to be their shared confidence, which can be both endearing and a headache at times. Most of the night continues much the same, with Hanako eventually leaving the Sato sisters and me to ourselves as she heads back to her dorm room for a rest. For a while, only the barely audible sound of Lily's teacup and saucer can occasionally be heard as she slowly drinks. The silence is strained as Lily and I wait for the elephant in the room to be addressed.
So... I just imagine, like, this elephant sitting in the corner, like, what, can I have some tea?
He has like a party hat, like a birthday hat, and he's just Witness me! Everybody's just like, nope, don't pay attention to him. Pretend he's not there.
We'll get to you later.
Witness me!
He's like blowing it through his trunk too. It's like at the end of his trunk, this little like thing just like unrolls. Aww.
Oh, poor elephant. Oh, little Lily dutifully puts her cup down, giving her sister her undivided attention. With Lily and me on one side of the low table and Akira at the other, it almost feels like a judge passing down a verdict.
I hear that you two are going out now.
I glance sideways at Lily to confirm her as the source of Akira's knowledge. She gives a gentle nod to Akira, which I mirror in affirmation. Deciding that this is the proper time and place to do so, and Akira being the closest figure to a parent Lily's had for much of her life, I bow deeply with my hands on the floor before me and my head very nearly the same. I'll take good care of your sister, Akira. I promise you.
See, he's a lovely young gentleman.
She must have heard my voice coming from a lower position than usual. I slowly bring myself up, back up, my eyes tentatively looking to Akira from under my brow. To tell the truth, I very much doubt my suited judge will raise any objections. She's very definitely the type to make her disapproval with others well known, something that lends her a measure of respect in my eyes. I swear to God, I looked at it and I blanked. I'm like, I don't get you.
Good old brain farts.
The old-fashioned kind, eh? Well, he's the kind of person I guess you go for. I don't have a problem with it, and I wish you two the best. Even if I didn't like it, I couldn't really do anything anyway.
I offer a nod of appreciation to her as Lily gives a small sigh of relief, likely more out of duty than any actual belief Akira might have any problems with us being together.
I do wonder, though, how's the rest of the family taking it? Particularly the part residing at Yamaku. Have you told her?
Smiles turns to grimaces as Akira grins downright evilly. Those closest know how to twist the knife best, after all.
Putting up with it may be the best term for the situation. Don't you agree, Hisao?
Yeah, that sounds about right. At least she's being reasonable about it.
Good to hear. That girl can be a handful at the best of times. We sent a few messages back and forth during and just after the trip, and she was already busting my chops for seeing my boyfriend when we came back, after leaving Hideaki for so long. She really does care for the little guy.
I cast my mind back to Shizune's odd reaction after telling her about our relationship, but decide not to bring it up. It's no doubt simply born of their mutual antipathy, and Akira's comments only back that up.
Well then, that's settled. Gotta get to work early tomorrow, so I better be off.
She rises from the table with a grunt, her hand on her knee to push herself up. I just notice Akira's eyes lingering on Lily for a couple of seconds before turning away as she begins to take her leave. After she walks out the door, she stops and looks up, thoughtfully before turning to us one last time.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot to tell you. Use protection every time!
Oh, well.
I gag
You're wrong.
violently on the tea in my mouth. Contrary to my own, Lily's composure holds perfectly as she seems entirely unfazed. I'm kind of impressed.
We are, don't worry.
Atta girl, see yas!
Oh.
Damn, I thought I'd make her feel awkward.
And with that, she turns and strides away, a hand held high as she disappears into the darkened hallway, closing the door behind her. The most reaction I can muster is flopping forwards onto the table, completely drained of energy and truly exhausted by her. Lily's ability to hold her own against that suited devil is something I admire. She really is incredibly blunt. I don't think I'll ever be able to keep up with your sister's energy. As I feel Lily's soft hand come to rest on my own, I roll my head to the side to see her gently smiling. For a long time, we simply sit beside each other silently. Given her unquestionably unusual height, she is pretty much exactly as tall as I am, probably a couple of centimeters higher if anything. Like this, she appears even taller. The feeling of her pale, soft hand against mine is a pleasant one, as is the sight of the thin silken pajamas she wears, showing her curves and collarbone.
You do get on well, though, even if you do say that.
I guess. You know, you two are a lot more alike than I first thought when I met you.
Then it's a good thing I quickly stopped you from going after her, isn't it?
Though she jokes about it, my assessment of my inability to keep up with Akira, either physically or mentally, is quite in earnest. Lily's slow-paced and ladylike, almost motherly, nature is perhaps the single thing that helped me most in my first weeks of Yamaku. Come to think of it... Wait, since when were we using protection? As I give a curious look to my side, Lily's cheeks puff out as she huffs at me.
Unlike you, I remembered. The packet is in the cupboard next to the sink.
So, I'm not the only one of us that takes a pill. In hindsight, I feel rather thoughtless for not remembering at all and leaving it to Lily. Looking over to the cupboard she mentions, I notice again the knee-high piles of books around us that were here the other times I'd visited. For the most part, they're lined up against the wall to give a little more room around the table. Why don't you get a bookshelf for your books? It's odd to see books just piled around, especially given that your room looks so neat and orderly otherwise.
They're easier to find this way. I know exactly which pile each book is in.
Wouldn't you still know that after putting each set on a different shelf?
That may be, but...
So she's not immune to bouts of laziness after all. You have so many of them. It's kind of a shame we can't share our book set, especially despite both of us reading so much. She gives a short giggle. Come to think of it, why do you order your books through Yuko? I imagine there'd be plenty of sites that you could order books in Braille from, especially in English Braille. There are a lot of text-to-speech programs, too. She turns her head slightly away from me, which strikes me as somewhat surprising.
I'm just not all that good with computers. I'm alright with typewriters and braillers, but that's about it.
Her tone almost makes me chuckle. She's a prideful person, so admitting something like that must be difficult. So, Lily's the low-tech kind of person. Given her old-fashioned personality, it's not really a stunning surprise. I wouldn't worry about it. A lot of people aren't really that good with them, so it's not that unusual.
That unusual?
Now she's even more depressed. It feels like I'm twisting the knife rather than healing her wounds. With a bit of squirming, I shuffle my way closer to her, tentatively putting one arm around her waist to hug her. I'm still not really used to this kind of physical affection, but Lily seems to like it.
Ayo.
Not used to it, eh?
Woo! There's some tongue in there. Damn, going straight for the tongue. Sounds like I've done it twice. I'm a friggin' guru now. I'm just like,
you're so good at sex.
like be be aggressive. Be aggressive. Just
It sounds like you're vomiting.
I'm forcefully sticking my tongue out.
Oh, goodness. Lily smiles as she turns to face me, a kiss being the reward for giving in to her. She draws me in, brushing my upper lip with hers before pressing against both. This way, every one of my senses is filled with her. The barely perceptible scent of her hair, the taste of her tongue fleetingly touches mine, the tenderness of her lips, the image of her filling my mind, the total silence apart from her faint breathing. We may have kissed before, but even if this is more a kiss of simple affection than anything, it's still a new and pleasant sensation. Judging from her vivid blush as she pulls back, it's obvious she feels the same as I do. Even if we're entirely alone, it still feels a little embarrassing to open up to each other this much.
If we take everything day by day, I think that would be for the best. Small steps, right?
Yeah, just small steps. We have plenty of time to be together, even after the school year is over. As long as we move together, I think everything will work out okay. Neither of us is going anywhere soon after all. For now, I'm just thankful for this small moment in time we can spend together. Yeah.
Okay, so far so good.
So far, so good. We can't fuck up. We can't have another heartbreaking bad ending.
Oh, that was just the friggin' worst.
Because it just came out of left field.
Yeah.
Just like, it's over
Yeah.
now. You're like, what? No.
No, I think we're good.
I
We'll
stand
be okay.
unmoving in front of the door to the nurse's office for what feels like at least a dozen minutes or so. It's not like I never entered the small beige room before, nor is it because of any feeling of childlike anxiety over the visit. Maybe it's because the nurse's office is akin to confessional, an admission that my body is flawed. The knowledge that such a fact is kept entirely confidential between the nurse and me hardly lessens the feeling. Remembering that the bell to signal the end of lunch break will sound soon, I give a sigh and open the door. The burden will stay with me just this while longer. Well, now, if it isn't Nakai, good to see you. Or bad, I guess, considering I'm a nurse. He gives a small laugh, amused at his little joke. I find his humor lacking and somewhat off, but the fact that he can make light of such a situation is perhaps comforting, or at least distracting. His brief episode of entertainment over, he claps his hands together and gets down to business. I take a seat as he gestures for me to do so. I wish the classrooms had seats this comfortable. I can feel my mind wandering as my eyes quickly scan the room, distracted by all the small changes since I last came. Alrighty, so what brings you here? I haven't seen you often, so I assume your health's been good so far? Maybe? Well, mostly. I see. A smile drops as I trail off. I feel slightly guilty about it. It's these moments where I can't rationally call myself normal that makes me so reluctant to see the nurse. They're an admission that I'm different from everyone else. While I was on the trip during the long weekend, I had a few problems with my heart. He hums very seriously and nods as he does so, urging me to go on. I think it was as I was walking a fairly long distance. I think the right term for it is a heart flutter. I suddenly went weak at the knees and felt almost like I was having a small heart attack. But it passed in about half a minute. Even afterward, though, I felt pretty fatigued and nauseous. That's not good. Not good at all. That was how many days ago exactly? Did you do anything unusual aside from exerting yourself before the episode? Were you taking your medications properly? The nurse switches from awkward jokester to serious health professional mode, rattling off questions, making notes, and calling up stuff on his computer. I tell him about my forgetting to take pills that morning and the preceding evening. It was a stupid thing to do, but I can't change anything about it now except answer honestly and bite the bullet. His seriousness evolves into a frown, and the talk evolves into an instant checkup. I finish buttoning up my shirt and again get motioned to take a seat in front of the nurse. It is the first heart problem you've had since coming to Yamaku, right? I've had short pains in my chest before, just a couple of times, but they were more discomfort than anything like this. He leans back in his chair, briefly resembling a white-coated poirot as he
Poirot.
Is it French again?
Poirot is a character from an Agatha Christie story.
That's would not know.
He's a Belgian detective. Hercule Poirot.
No.
Yeah. The more you know.
The more you know. As he mulls over the mysterious case. Oh, yeah, okay. His analogies again. There it is.
Yeah.
Of the heart flutter. Moving his lips from side to side to show he's thinking, his non-existent mustache wiggling, he eventually comes to conclusion. Well, you survived it. It's always the plus side. I blink at this one, then notice the nurse wearing his gotcha face. It's actually somewhat reassuring. I don't think he would crack jokes if there were really things were really serious, so I keep silent and take my lumps. I'll have to talk with your doctor, but right now I suspect it's simply due to physical exertion. Have you been keeping up with your regular light exercise as I directed you to? I make sure to walk a reasonable amount every day. It's usually enough to work up a bit of a sweat, but then again, I'm not really as fit as I used to be. That should be enough then. The main thing is to keep your mind in mind is to do regular low-stress exercise, not short bursts of sprinting and such. I understand. Since leaving the hospital, I've been a lot more focused on my studies, partly to take my mind off not being able to do more physical things. It's good to hear you're coping well. Sudden lifestyle changes can be hard at the best of times, so I'm pleased to hear that you sound like you have everything in order. Almost everything, that is. Nevertheless, I want to keep a close eye on you for a while, just for observation's sake. Just to make sure things aren't going downhill. You understand? That's something I really don't want to hear. Since coming to Yamaku, all I've wanted to do is live a life as possible. Observation was one of the words I came to hate most during my hospital stay. For as long as I felt as if I could have just walked straight out of the hospital doors, if not for that observation the doctor wanted so dearly. Sure, should I come in more often? He checks the calendar next to his computer, which seems to inflict on him a nasty case of furrowed brow. He spins back towards me after that. The summer holidays are a bit of a pain, considering the timing. I'll check with your doctor and try to get a better handle on the situation, see how he wants to proceed. But I think you should just take things slowly and carefully from now on. What you're describing doesn't immediately sound like a reoccurring event, but it won't hurt to slow down a bit for a while. Just to make sure. Well, what should I do for today? He looks over my shoulder at a clock hanging over the door. I'd never have noticed it if I hadn't followed his gaze. It's nearly time for school to be over, so you may as well just leave early. He gives a sly wink, making sure I understand he's doing me a favor. Well, nurse's orders. Thanks. That's what I'm here for, after all. I know you might not want to hear this, but you can't ignore your condition. Don't hesitate to see me if you have any further problems, or if you just have anything you want to ask. Bye. He spins around and gets back to typing on the computer in front of him. I suppose I'll just read before waiting for Lily by the gate, considering I don't have much else to do. Even as I leave, his words echo in my mind. My condition isn't something as limiting as many of the others here in Yamaku, and I don't want to burden Lily with thinking about it. If I just live life normally and avoid any short, sharp shocks, I should be okay. I won't let this condition rule me.